There we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Freemasons Podcast with your hosts, Right Worship Brother George Mudry.
And messy hair, don't care, Worshipful Brother Tom.
Hey, at least you got hair. I don't hear
true.
shit.
It looks like hell, though. Joe's going to give me a ration of crap for this.
So we've been off for a couple weeks.
Yeah, we have. We've been, attending to our own things.
George caught the HIV.
Yeah, well, you did too, didn't you?
I caught the vid.
Yeah, you got the vids.
I got the vid.
Well, you did. You don't now.
I don't now.
Yeah, just to clarify, he's recovered.
But I did lick your glass last week.
Oh, man, and you cleaned my glass, too.
I did. The water wasn't working, so I
Like-
had to lick it clean.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the water wasn't working.
Get tested when you get. So.
That's fine. I got plenty of test kits. We're good.
Anyway, episode.
This is what's going to kill us anyway.
Finally,
honestly.
Episode. Yeah, notice you're red and I'm blue.
Yeah, I took the red pill. As I want to do.
Anyway, episode 216, Lodge Security. And why are we covering Lodge Security, Mr. Ken?
Well, there have been quite a rash of fires, and also in recent years, over the last couple of years, there have been some break-ins to various lodges and threats to people's lives and so forth. And, you know, it's not at an epidemic kind of pace right now, but there have been a lot of lodge fires. Some of them are arson, some of them, it's just, the lodge is burning. Bad electrical or something like that. These buildings age over time, and, sometimes lodges fall on hard times and can't, upgrade their infrastructure the way that they should, and bad things happen. So, but yeah, there have been some issues with security in general.
Correct, though.
We felt it was time to actually cover it in an actual episode rather than just allude to it.
We've talked about it on other episodes, but never actually did an episode on the different types of things that we could use for security in a particular lodge. So, but first, being that you're banned from Instagram.
Oh, no, I'm good now.
Oh, you're good now?
Yeah, you can start with YouTube and I'll...
All right, well, I was going to do YouTube. First, I was going to do the Apple reviews, but we'll start with yours first.
Okay. Well, I have to switch really quick, switch profiles, and hope to God that it works. Hey, it did. Awesome.
I will say, though, before we get bananas with this one, we currently, our channel is, we're getting very, very, very close to the 1,000 mark.
Yeah.
We have right now 46 subscribers who are within the 900 range of getting that challenge coin once it's designed. If you are one of those people, you can reach out to the Freemasons podcast and send a message just with your address. Just make sure you are one of those people, because I am verifying who you are, and just let me know what's your name on YouTube. And if you're part of that 100 people, I will be sending them out to you.
Yeah. So we got quite a few followers on Instagram since the last time I was able to get this app to log in properly.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start off with Jacob Rowlands, Alhambra Lodge number 322. Welcome, brothers. East Lonk Service Lodge. Welcome to you, brothers. Kevin Keith, Sammy, ex Minty Fresh, Tierra Mela, Josh Stavrakoglu.
You got it. Go on.
James Thomas, Daniel Shimkis, Adam Plotnick, Michael Yensko, Derek Kober, Zach Willis, Francisco Israel, just Travis, I guess. Imagescapes Pictures, Cheyenne Quinn, Drew Shepard, Muhammad Rizwan, and our new Worshipful Master this year, Worshipful Brother Joe.
Nice.
Is our last follower. So thank you, brother, for following us, and thank you all for your follows, brothers and friends.
As well as YouTube. Again, get us to 1,000.
Yeah. Yep.
Subscribe, like, hit the little bell so that you can get notified when we go live. If
Yeah.
we ever go live on time.
We do our best.
We do our best.
Yeah. We'll get back into a flow, we promise.
All right, Ken.
Yes, sir.
We're doing the Mezcal.
God help us. We haven't tried this before
This is
we
the
aired
stuff
either.
that
so
came from the G,
Yeah.
Mr. Gideon. So I went with the blue pill. Ken went with the red pill. We'll see. You have to
which is better? Judge
comment,
based on the-
write a little thing in the comment whose face puckers more.
Yep.
Go on, Ken.
All right. Brother, right hand to arms.
2 arms.
Ready?
Not really.
Aim.
Aim.
Too bad. Fire, fire all. Fire, good fire, fire all.
Oh, fuck.
Together, brother.
Good.
Vivat, vivat, vivat.
Oof.
I still have my voice. I'm not making noises. I'm not puckering.
Okay,
I
switch
think I got
models.
the better one. You want to switch?
Switch models. Switch models.
Switch places.
We're going to switch. Oh, God.
The red pill is not bad. And they look basically the same, except for the color of the bottle. So,
Well, if I had COVID before, I don't know more.
yeah,
Holy shit.
that glass is now clean. Thank you, Gideon.
Thank you,
Thank you
Gideon.
for my bottle, anyway.
And then if we decided to batch out, we had the limoncello here.
Oh, it's going to happen.
We need booze. We need to replenish our stock.
Yeah, we are woefully underprepared today.
All right, ready? Here we go. Apple reviews. Love these brothers. When I got involved in Freemasonry many years ago, I never thought I'd be listening to such a fun podcast about the fraternity with a roaring rock intro. Lion of all bands. That's right.
Yeah.
That's Lion.
Great artist.
And it comes from the movie Wraith. And being
Both
that,
now defunct.
and even the movie company.
Yeah, which is good because they gave up the rights, and now we can use it.
Yeah. And that's from, I said, keep up the great work, from brother Andrew Shepard, Harding San Juan Lodge 579.
Nice.
The next one, because of course I backed out of it, now I have to go back into it though,
That's what you got.
is, and that was from, whatever, he wrote his name. I don't need to go through his Apple name because holy shit, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you write an Apple review, drop your name too, so I can actually give you shout outs to a name.
If you
not
want to.
just Rooksy588.
Well, some people don't want their name
people don't want their name
mentioned,
revealed.
you know,
All right,
and
all
I
right.
get that.
I'm vain, so I mean,
Yes,
drop
yes.
my name. All right.
You don't care. Your digital footprint is sorted and vast.
5-star review, perfect balance. Started listening as an EA back in July, just raised in October. Finally made it through everything up to current. This podcast strikes a perfect balance between after lodge fellowship shenanigans and interesting education. I can't count how many times I've gone back to my lodge with, so I heard something on this podcast. Whether it's an idea for community involvement to keep brothers coming back to fascinating, mostly factual, we're not scholars, history. There's something for everyone. I still have the new guy's zeal for the craft, but y'all help me, gotta be from down south, but y'all help me keep the fire burning while helping me remember to say no sometimes.
That's the job. That's what we're doing.
It's a good word in Freemasonry.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Unless you get appointed to a committee in open lodge, and then you feel really bad saying no. But yes.
Thanks for everything y'all are doing, and holler if y'all ever in Oklahoma.
Okay.
I was right. Cameron, Yukon Lodge number 90. Oh, so his name is Cameron. All right, cool. Brother Cameron.
Nice.
Yukon Lodge number 90, Yukon, Oklahoma.
Thank you, brother, and congratulations, by the way,
And
on
that's the
being
last.
raised to the sublime degree. Well
You're
done.
going bananas with the Apple reviews. I love it.
Oh, you got another one?
No, I'm just saying. Like,
Oh,
we've
okay.
had them like a flurry of them recently.
That's great. Thank you so much for reviewing us. If you haven't already, please do so. It does help us out. And, even if you got some constructive feedback for us, leave us a review. We appreciate that.
Keep talking, Ken, because I'm dreading actually doing this freaking toast. Ugh. All right, let's try this.
No,
right
it's gonna be fine.
Brother, right hand to arms.
To arms.
Ready?
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire, good fire, fire all. That was better.
This one's fine.
Whatever. Together, brother.
Vivat, vivat, vivat. I think I
Beautiful.
finally, after all these years, I think I have a taste for tequila now. Or mezcal, as it were.
Antonio. Oh, I can just look over here. I don't know where I got my fucking phone.
This one's actually good. I mean, I don't have a problem with either one of these.
Have at it.
Salud.
Yeah. Just checking out everything here on the.
Oh, he's
live
from
feed.
Mexicali, Baja California, Mexico, and that's basically where
Antonio
this is from, right?
Torres.
Isn't this from
Yes.
Baja?
Yes. It's a different. I don't know if it's from Baja, but that's a different breed down there. I'll tell you that right now. Because God damn, this was the blue was more painful than the red.
CP. Yeah, I don't know where this is made. Also, I can't speak Spanish, so it may actually say that somewhere, and I just don't.
Guanajuato. Guanajuato.
Guanajuato?
Right here on the bottom.
Yeah, Guanajuato.
Guanajuato. All right.
Okay.
Bless
I don't know exactly where that is in Mexico, but maybe it's near you. But welcome, brother.
George lost. You're damn right I lost. Ugh. Anyway.
Lost bigly.
I lost bigly, which is a rarity for me because I usually lose by a little.
Wow, look at the man poking
Took
fun
my
at
own
himself
shot.
because Joe's not here. That's great.
It's
big of you.
That is big of me. You son of a bitch. All right. Moving on. All right. So we're going to be talking about the first off, it was a lodge in Dublin, right? That got burnt down to the ground by some.
Yeah, there were a couple recently, but yeah, there was definitely one in Dublin.
There was one in New Hampshire.
Yep.
That got cooked. I know the one in Milwaukee had the guy who was thwarted by the FBI who was going to shoot up the place.
That was a couple of years ago. Oh. But yeah, that was.
So first and foremost things I would say, brothers, is the Tyler position is not a figurative position.
Correct.
It is an actual position. It's ceremoniously. It's a ceremoniously, loosely. How do I put it?
Well, it's traditional, right? Because back in the 1700s, I mean, we're obviously still serious about keeping off cowens and eavesdroppers and people not rolling in when we're going through our ritual. We still are. It's just a lot easier to have locked doors now than it was in the 1700s. But yeah, they had guys with swords.
Right.
That would prevent people from poking their faces in the window.
And their job was to lop people's heads off. I imagine back in the day.
In a metaphorical way, yeah.
I don't know about metaphorical back in the day.
Probably not. But hey, if you're rolling up on a lodge in the 1700s and there's a guy with a big sword and he's pushing you back, and people knew how to use swords back then, by the way. It's not like people were, walking around with pistols and stuff. You'd probably think twice about walking into that lodge. Do our Tylers still carry ceremonial swords? In some jurisdictions and some lodges, yes. I'm the Tyler in my home lodge in Waterbury, and I carry a sword. It's not going to do any damage if somebody wants to get in. I'm going to have to rely on other measures, but there's a reason for that, and it's tradition, and it does go back to when those were operative swords, and we kept people out of our lodges with them.
And we'll talk. We've talked before about, I know some lodges don't want firearms in their lodges, which realistically it's up to them. It's the master's prerogative.
Well, in the Connecticut jurisdiction it is,
in the Connecticut jurisdiction it is. I don't know about other grand jurisdictions if they have a banning of it.
In the states, it goes a couple different ways from the brothers that I've talked to around the nation, but you've got some countries where it's just verboten to own a firearm altogether.
Right.
And so, yeah, you're not, unless you're, in the military in that particular country or a law enforcement agent who can carry a firearm off duty, then, yeah, there's nobody who's going to be packing. And
we're going to go through all the different things that you can do regardless of firearms. I mean, firearms are, realistically a last measure. The last thing you want to do is you got somebody poking through the window, you're going to pop one off.
Yeah, I would not advocate
probably
that, no
not
matter where you are. Yeah, but I mean, technology's come a long way too, and there's some solutions through technology as well.
Correct.
We can talk about. Yeah.
I mean, realistically, even if somebody with these last string of things that are going on, it's arson, right? So it
could be. Yeah,
it's some idiot with a gas can and a rag and a freaking lighter.
Yep.
And and again, it's not an explosion. They're not planting bombs. They're just setting the lodge on fire. Right.
Right.
So,
it's a relatively undefended target, and somebody just wants to, I don't know, mentally ill or whatever, and they just want to watch something burn, whatever the case may be.
Or they think that we got babies in the basement.
Yeah, they think that we're evil somehow. Yeah.
Right. So first and foremost, I think there's two ways to protect your lodge and the building, and one of which is very simple. So us here at Morningstar Lodge, we don't own our building.
Right.
Our building is a historical building. There are also other businesses in this building. So realistically, if some fucking wackadoo decides to come burn the building down, you're destroying other people's livelihoods as well. Right. So
which, if you're setting fire to something, you're probably a little bit unstable anyway, so you may or may not care about that to begin with. I don't know.
We as Masons aren't here all the time.
Right.
All right. So downstairs we have Jimmy's, which is a bar restaurant. They stay open till the wee hours of night.
Yep.
So during the day, no one's going to probably burn the place down. They're going to do their act at night where they're concealed and hidden and they can hide in the shadows and kind of, right? So in the middle of the day when people are walking up and down the road in Main Street, probably not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a pretty active area.
Pretty active.
Yeah.
At night is when they're going to do it. But if you have a bar with people outside and walking in and out and out in the front stoop smoking cigarettes and stuff, the probability of somebody actually coming to burn our building down or attack our building is relatively low.
Yeah.
Because you have eyes everywhere. And again, this being a bar, cops usually will patrol by it.
And it's also the downtown area, so I mean there's a police station right around the corner, there's a fire department over there. I mean they're floating around anyway, even if there wasn't a bar downstairs. So yeah, this is not what I would consider to be a soft target for arson.
Correct. So with that being said, there are some lodges that are their entire building is their lodge. It's an entire giant building. Those are usually the ones that get burned down. And the reason being is because they're relatively undefended, nobody's there at night, and this happens. So I think the first course of action, and this is just my particular belief, is you need to put cameras up. Cameras cameras won't stop the person from doing it, but, I mean, with modern technology now, I can jump on my phone.
Yep.
And I can see what my cameras are doing. Yep. Motion. These cameras will react to motion.
Yep. And they're relatively cheap, too.
They're relatively cheap.
Yeah.
And you can set your lodge secretary up, or my personal opinion would be give that to the lodge Tyler. First off, I am a firm believer that the Tyler should be a paid position. That's just me. Because
some places it is.
Some places they do.
Yep.
And the reason being is because Tyler's job should be much like
like private security
in a way, because I mean if your job is to tile the lodge and guard the lodge from that's all the time.
You might be putting yourself in a measure of risk too, but yeah, it's also a full-time position where if you're getting notifications, like motion notifications from cameras at lodge, and
you're getting motion notifications.
Like,
and yes, I'm not saying drive down there and whoop an ass, but
no, you can call the police.
Hey, we got a guy out here who looks like he's lighting something in front of our building. It looks like he's trying to burn the place down. Cops will be there.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you. I would go one step even cheaper than that.
Joseph Schultz, we installed the bat signal. Very expensive.
Yeah, it can be. But in that vein, starting even cheaper, let's go from like cheapest and easiest to implement to the most complex, because there are some lodges out there that... Yeah, trebuchet. Yeah, we can just build a catapult, boiling vats of acid, or no, sorry, tar and feather. I don't know. So,
shit.
Here's the deal. I mean, some lodges are in kind of, not great financial straits. Membership, might be lower in some rural areas than in the cities and so forth. In the rural areas are particularly vulnerable because you have a lodge building that might be all wood out in the middle of farmland, like Worshipful Brother Joe's home lodge. That's a more tempting target for these types of people than something like this lodge here or Harmony and Waterbury.
See,
lighting.
Can I? Oh, there you go.
Lighting is number one. Put floodlights out, and put them on motion triggers. That way, you're not running up the electrical bills. You'd be surprised how big of a crime deterrent just lighting up a space is when it's always dark.
So if I can just on that, I would disagree with you on that one. Those little country bumfuck lodges that are off in the woods and everything.
Oh, watch it, Joe's listening to this.
And I'm just poking fun. But those lodges I don't think would be a target, and I'll tell you why. Most people who do these acts want attention.
Yeah.
They want to be on the 5 o'clock news. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, that was me. I burned the place down. It's an attention thing rather than an actual. They want their 5 minutes of fame. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong. But so they're going to do it to they're not going to do it to some little small lodge that looks like a Grange building. They're going to do it to your big, elaborate buildings that are, that are out in the middle of everything.
That has been the trend of late. Too.
It has.
If you look at the fires in Masonic buildings that have been arsons, they tend to be not in little rural areas. It's usually in a city.
It's usually somewhere.
So I can go with that.
But anyway, lighting. I agree.
Lighting is. I mean, that's just for not just lodges, but anywhere, right? Like if you're worried about your house and you're in a high crime area or something like that, lighting is usually the number one thing that your municipal police will tell you to put up. Because if you can't skulk around in the shadows because there are no shadows, they can't case the place, they can't hide or wait for somebody to enter the building so that they can bop them one or just kind of like sneak in behind them or whatever
Right.
to gain access. Like, lighting is pretty universally recommended, and it's relatively cheap.
Right.
Again, motion triggers, you don't have to worry about running up the electrical bills except when it's super windy. Use
Yeah, they got
passive
those-
infrared motion sensors, by the way. So the regular, really, really cheap infrared motion sensors are not passive.
Okay.
All right, so any motion, like a twig or a leaf blowing by or when it's snowing out, it'll set it off. Passive infrared looks for a heat signature in motion.
Okay.
So a person will set it off, a large animal, something like that. A car driving by the camera or by the sensor will set it off. Passive infrared, PIR, motion sensors is what you want.
Right. I think the next course of action, besides you have lights, you have cameras, be an alarm system.
Absolutely.
Get an alarm system and get one of those with those high squealing, makes a ton of freaking noise, and
Yeah. If it's a lodge building, yeah, you don't really care about noise. You want to make noise.
you want to make noise, right? So if you have something that's going to make a ton of noise, especially in an area where other people are going to hear it,
Somebody's going to call the
it's
cops.
going to draw attention. Someone's going to call the cops, and if your dumbass is running away from what you were about to do, I mean,
You're the immediate
you're the
suspect.
immediate suspect.
Yeah.
So, alarm systems, I would go with next, and that could be motion inside and outside.
Yep, and they do have monitored ones too that are relatively cheap, right? I mean, again, technology, right? You used to have to like go to ADT or one of these big alarm companies and spend thousands of dollars on installation and then hundreds of dollars a month on monitoring and so forth.
Right.
You can get away with it. The one that I've installed most recently was, I think, $200 for the kit, which came with a bunch of sensors, pretty much everything you need to do a small residential home, which would probably cover a lodge as well. And the monitoring is about like $12 a month. It really isn't that bad.
Right.
So if you have that in your particular country, in your area, in your region of the world, it's not a huge financial burden on the lodge, especially if you've had incidents in the past where people have tried to break in.
Right. I guess what I would say, again, we're talking about larger lodges where heat sensors don't work. Joseph Schultz, heat sensors don't work against gingers. They're like
Well, I mean, I said you need a heat signature, so if you don't have one because you're a vampire or a ginger or both,
or Tarwood, you just
or
reflect
me,
light.
yeah, just reflect infrared light back into the camera and blind it.
Me,
Doesn't
I'm-
work for everyone.
I don't get caught on those things. I'm too short. I'm like
Right, exactly.
watching mice run across the field.
Yeah, it's like Ocean's 11 when George. You can rob this place blind. You're like under the radar envelope.
That's right. Small animals don't get caught on cameras and heat
That's
sensors.
true.
Why would I get caught?
That's true. Biggest thing that sets mine off is deer. Like, bobcats, rabbits, they don't trigger
don't-
that sensor.
no, they don't.
Squirrels don't trigger it. My dogs don't trigger it. So, yeah, you're about dog size.
Pretty much.
As big as my oldest dog.
So the next step up, and again, I want to talk about this. I'm talking about in terms of larger lodges that are elaborate, decorative, established in a town, like like the New Haven building. The New Haven building is a large Masonic temple,
Big brownstone building.
big brownstone building. The Waterbury one, and the
The
Waterbury one's-
Waterbury Temple is, it was an old church, so it's on a corner. Usually people think it's a church, and maybe that's why we don't get
That's true.
as much abuse as we could.
Right.
Because you got to be really brazen to do something to a church, man.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be a real
People do it though.
bag of turds. Yeah.
I mean, there's
People do it, though.
There's other lodges, and again, I'm not just talking. I mean, Connecticut alone. There's a bunch of historical lodges and buildings that, not so much of it used to be the Meriden building. That was a monstrous.
It is, yeah. It's
elaborate building.
It's a religious temple now. They sold it, which is unfortunate because it was really a beautiful
Yeah.
building. But I mean, the new owners are keeping it up. But yeah, that was like on par with the building in New Haven, I think.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful. There was 3 lodge rooms, I think, in there. But yeah, I mean,
But these are the kind of the buildings that I'm talking about. And even ones that just stick out. Like, it doesn't have to be elaborate and beautiful on the outside. If you have a giant G on the outside of your building, it's going to draw attention to these people who think, "Oh, there's the people."
and the same people that are the level of crazy to think that
Yes.
we're evil, baby killers are the same crazy that would probably burn a building randomly.
Right.
So,
Right.
unfortunately, we're on that side of
So these are the ones I'm kind of talking about. And again, the other thing you can do, and again, we're stepping up, or I think we're slowly incrementing our security, if you will.
The sophistication of our security.
One of them is, and again, I brought up New Haven before, is because they have a custodian.
Yep. Yeah, basically a night watchman.
Basically a night watchman. He's there, I don't know until when, but he's there pretty late. His sole job is, he cleans up and does things and cleans the building and manages it and maintains it and stuff. But his other job is he's got cameras in that office. He's got a little small office, and that's his job. He's not armed. He's an older guy, but he's there.
He's watching, and he can call the police.
It's very simple. He's a phone call away.
Yep.
I personally think that, having eyes on your building, whether it be by camera, by actual people. The nice thing about camera is it's video evidence.
Yeah.
So if the guy sits there and says, I didn't do that, well, bullshit. I got you right here on the camera.
You just take all of that and you upload it and give it to the police and give them a link to it, and then they can deal with it.
Whereas with a night watchman or something, yes, he's there, he can say it, but realistically, without video proof, unless he's wearing a body camera, and I can't imagine a Masonic guardsman watching a body camera.
But even from
getting a little banana sandwich at that point, I think.
Even from a deterrent standpoint, he's walking around. He's got a flashlight, right? So if you're like casing a building and you see somebody walking around inside with a flashlight, you're probably less likely. You have to be really brazen to be like, oh, I'm going to break in anyway and ice that guy. Like you got to be a real dirtbag,
right?
So that helps.
Hey, did you like my picture of the security guard though that I put on?
Yeah, the one that was sleeping with the cardboard cutout of an actual standing at attention security guard. You must have gotten that from one of your friends at work or something.
No. I actually got that, pulled it off the internet. I seen it. I'm like, security guard funny. I popped it in Googler and boom, there it was.
Wow, look at you.
It was
with the smart search querying.
Scrolling through, I'm like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's kind of what we've talked about.
Night watchmen are expensive, so we're stepping up on the financial and
correct.
You're
stepping up on it. I think at that point, that's pretty much for everything that when you're not in lodge. That's where a lodge is dark, it's quiet, no one's there.
Claymore mines.
Sharks with frickin' laser beams on their head.
We could go more sophisticated than a night watchman if we wanted to. Cameras are good though, and you know what? If you got a system,
how about those Eagle people from freaking what was that? Flash Gordon? Yeah, Flash Gordon. Remember?
Yeah, but those don't exist. You
Flash.
All right, so fictitious bird hybrid man monsters.
It's got Mothman. I'm just saying
on the list, I guess.
Find some way to get Mothman to your lodge. I was
going to say that one of these. So a few of these security systems that are out there have those doorbell things integrated as part of their ecosystem,
right.
Which is great if you're Tyler. It's not so much a security thing, but if a brother, is coming to a meeting late and for whatever reason the door to get in, the primary door, as in my home lodge, is quite far away and like 2 floors away from the lodge room.
Right.
You get a little beep and you can either look at your phone or you have a little tablet mounted on the inside of the doorway and you can talk to that brother and be like, oh, you don't have a key? Okay, I'll be right down, or I'll send somebody down to let you in. It's a convenience for brothers who can't get into lodge on time. So if you have that issue in your lodge, it's very cheap to add one of these things onto one of these systems if you buy it.
Not gonna lie though, it would be pretty freaking hilarious to have somebody like a figurine with big giant wings, just sprawls wings when they go to do something stupid in front of the lodge.
Okay, that's achievable.
That'd be pretty funny,
Okay, all right, then we.
That guy's about to go light a fire, looks up and goes, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah. You see that on one of the cameras.
That'd be the next thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
The Masons had Mothman at the top of the building when I tried to burn it.
Yep. So we went straight from night watchman to Mothman. That's the next item on the agenda.
I made a live viewing. Hey, welcome, James Ferguson.
Hey,
talking about lodge security.
Welcome, brother.
So now let's talk about security while in lodge. Why is that important? Well, most of these things have been pansy-ass people who are just running around burning buildings down because I don't know.
Because they're cowards.
Like we don't have insurance. Granted, some of our stuff is probably antiques, and
I think you're probably right though. Under most circumstances,
irreplaceable.
Yeah, there are, but It's also it's attention seeking cowards basically that are performing that particular kind of act.
Yeah. So, but there is the other half that actually want to do harm to Masons.
Right. Or they feel that extinguishing the fraternity is their right or duty or something.
So now, so let's be clear. There are people out there that actually believe that we are NWO or bad people or we actually do harm or trying to take whatever the hell they firmly 1,000% believe it. What are you looking up, Kenny?
I was going to look up the report for that.
Okay. How about
in
it?
Wisconsin, yeah.
But there are people who actually believe this. So and to find out our information as to when we have meeting nights and when we meet and all that stuff is not hard. It's posted either on the lodge's Facebook page or some lodges have their own just web page. So it's not difficult. You can call up the Grand Lodge and say, "Hey, I was thinking about petitioning a lodge. What time?" You can call up the Grand Lodge. Be like, "What time is this lodge meeting?" "Oh, they're going to meet first Saturday, third Thursday."
Yeah, or you got Facebook groups and stuff for a lot of lodges. It's easy enough to find it.
So it's not hard to say, "Hey, I want to fill out a petition. When can I come?" "Oh, well, we're meeting Wednesday."
Yep.
And this person, if you will, can show up at the lodge with intent to do harm. Now, what their weapon of choice is, and let's be clear, they're probably going to show up with a weapon. And the reason being is because you have, let's say, on a bad night, Ken, how many people your lodge got?
Inside
on a rough night. It's a rough night.
No, maybe like 12 brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
On a good night?
For like an event and stuff, you could push 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're roughly ballparking around that same amount.
Yep.
So this guy is not going to show up unarmed because he will get his ass whooped by between.
Even if nobody's
12?
carrying that night, I mean, you can't.
Well, let's take that out of the equation.
Right. Yeah.
We're just going hands on. We're going to throw them things.
Yep.
It's 12 against 1. Even if you show up with a buddy or two, it's 12 against 1. You're going to get pummeled. And then you're going to get the cops called on you, and you're going to jail.
Yep.
So they're obviously going to show up with some sort of a weapon, whether it be a knife, What are you looking at? Who's that creep?
It's the guy who.
That's the dude
who's going to attack the Masonic Lodge.
What are you getting at the New Year sale?
Oh, let me see. This year dive into community stories that matter.
Ken's looking up a webpage and
it's the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. I can subscribe right now for $1. Okay, I'm not going to do
Ken's
that.
looking up a website at the. Yeah, he looks like a sweetheart.
Yeah, nice guy.
Can you put that up? Could you stitch that in?
Yeah, let me work on that. But you can keep going with what you were.
So they're going to show up with a weapon of some sort, whether it be something small or something non. I don't think they're going to show up with some pepper spray and just piss everybody in the lodge room off. They're probably going to show up with something with intent to do harm.
Yeah,
so,
if you know there are people in there, then yeah, probably.
Yeah, you're not showing up with pepper spray just to piss everyone off and make their eyes water. You're showing up to do something. So you're going to show up with a knife. You're going to show up with a katana blade. I don't know, a war hammer. I don't know. You're going to show up with a gun. You're going to show up with something.
Yep.
So now we have to talk about, and this is why I brought up the Tyler originally. How do you keep your brother safe? When your lodge is going on, you're behind closed doors, windows closed, doors closed. How do you keep the brother safe? Number one, lock the goddamn doors. I can't tell you how many times that the lodge doors are wide open. Naugatuck, and I'll call out their lodge, Shepherd Salem, actually has a doorbell. So when you open the bottom door, it goes ding dong and up in the lodge room, and they know somebody came in. Well, what happens at that point? Tyler leaves the room, goes down, he's looking to see who it is.
Yep.
So that'd be number one. Number two is just lock them. I know there are so many different ways to securely lock doors but still allow brothers in. I mean, one of the things is they got the key fob thing.
You could do key fobs if you have the money for that type of system, or you could just issue keys.
I'm just saying, most lodges that have large buildings that you have to
control access.
Too.
Key fobs are pretty.
Key fobs are pretty cheap way to do it, and it works. You stick the key in the door, bleep, unlocks the door, you're in.
Somebody doesn't pay their dues, they get dropped MPD. You just deactivate
the key fob
code. Yep.
That to me is probably the easiest way. That guy with the sunglasses on.
Let me show you what
he's just got one of those noses.
Yep.
Oh, you didn't transition it yet?
No, I did.
You did now?
Yeah. Let me get out of studio mode here so you can see what we're looking at. But yes, he's he doesn't look like a very nice man, but this is actually a story.
He's just got one of those faces. You just want to deliver one right to the suckhole.
Yeah. This is actually a story about this thing keeps popping up.
It wants you to get your $1 voucher.
No, I need to subscribe and then be done with it. But basically, the story reads: this is actually after it happened. So this was after he went to court. He had his day in court, and a Milwaukee man, once accused of plotting a mass shooting downtown to defend Islam, has pleaded guilty nearly 6 years later to possessing an unregistered machine gun. So he had a Class 3. He had a fully automatic gun, and he pled guilty. The FBI's announcement that it had thwarted the alleged plot made national headlines in 2016. It said, Sammy Hamzea, then 23, has been conspiring to kill 30 people at the Humphrey Scottish Rite Masonic Temple. Hamzea's lawyers argued he made outlandish and boastful comments to impress a pair of FBI informants who hounded him for months. Hamzea was never charged with terrorism, only possession of 2 machine guns and a silencer he purchased for $570 from undercover agents.
And I just want to point out here, Brother James Ferguson, he said, and this is not just for lodges that are sold lodges, but several also host public events and weddings or are museums. Some people do not care what is happening at the lodge building. They just see. And that's true. A lot of lodge buildings, former lodge buildings that were sold, they still got the square and compasses either in stone etched on the front of the building.
Like Meriden. It's not a Masonic temple anymore, but it looks like one.
Masonic buildings, we sometimes rent our space out for baby showers, bridal showers, whatever, or anything of a Jack and Jill's, for Christ's sake. We rented out our space. It's a large space with rooms and usually with kitchens, and we rent our things out. And most of these people do not care what's going on.
No,
they think it's a Masonic event, and it's not even.
There might not be one Freemason in that building.
Well, there's usually one, because he's the one who's locking and unlocking. Or monitoring. I don't know.
They could be issued a key or something like that. Right. Like it's not outside of the realm of possibility. I switched to a picture of the Humphrey Scottish Rite Masonic Center. That was the one that he was attempting to.
So was it an actual lodge? Was the actual lodge was going on?
I believe he was conspiring to do that when lodge was going on. I don't think he was actually physically there. I think the FBI kind of nabbed him when he tried to purchase the firearms off of them.
Okay.
It says here the case is dragged on while hundreds of hours of recorded conversations, mostly in Arabic, were transcribed and translated to English. Crowded court dockets also contributed to the long wait for a trial. As we know, here in America, the court system does kind of take a long time. According to court records, at some point, Hamzea watched YouTube videos espousing the incorrect belief that Masons secretly support the Islamic State, which purportedly led Hamzea and the informants to settle on the Milwaukee Center as a target, which is weird. So he was kind of like working with these informants, and they were posing as someone, a couple people sympathetic to his cause.
They were undercover agents, basically.
Right, and settled on that.
Dumbass!
Area. But he was under some, misinformation that somehow we, Freemasons support any state, which is not really what we're about. Much less the Islamic State. So Hamzea later told the informants he wanted to cancel the plan after he said 2 imams told him it would be wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
Hamzea, described by prosecutors as a serious danger, was jailed for more than 2 years, longer than any sentence he would likely get if convicted, his lawyers argued. So he didn't actually go through with the plan. He didn't even actually go there.
So he chicken shit out, basically.
That was basically what happened. But it's the point that somebody had this as an idea. That's a little scary.
Yeah, I will say this then. All right, I'm still going to shit on this guy for actually even thinking about doing anything violent, because that's kind of douchebaggish, if you will.
Yes,
but I will
not
say,
a good plan.
You want to switch to the other YouTube just so I can read the comments if there's...
Yep. And also, I mean, do your homework first, for God's sake.
I mean, he had 2 imams, which are imam, right? Imam.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
how you say
the equivalent of a priest.
priest.
Yeah.
It's who said, yeah, this is wrong. Good for them. Like, you know, and there's just a thing.
I think they all would say that.
Freemasonry doesn't subscribe to one religion.
No. Not
Secondly, we also don't have anything to do with politics, especially quote unquote terrorist.
No, if
States,
you've
if you
got
will.
2 states that are kind of against each other, Freemasonry is never going to side with one over the other. I mean,
Right.
what we believe in is moral codes and doctrines, not religious or political ones.
I mean, after drinking this garbage, I'm thinking of reaching out to the Grand Lodge of Russia and getting some good shit. And Dos Vidanya. Like,
yeah, instead of.
but
well,
I'm just
I mean,
my joke is
I
that
have
the
no
United
problem with
States
this.
and
It's
Russia
right,
don't really get along, but you know,
better than they used to anyway.
a brother in Russia is no different than a brother in America, and we wouldn't
Right.
the politics wouldn't even be brought up. It just doesn't happen. It's not how it's supposed to happen.
Right.
Anyway, let's get back to this person is now coming to do harm to the lodge. Found out when the brothers were going to be there, and he's planned his attack. There's no informants. There's no undercovers. This guy is dead set on doing his harm.
Oh, we're doing a hypothetical now.
Hypothetical.
Okay, got it.
So the first thing what would stop him would be a locked door. One.
Yeah.
A locked door is going to stop him. He could shoot up the outside of the building, have fun. I mean, all he's going to do is hit mortar and brick, have fun, for the most part.
Okay. Which could, yeah,
Right.
you could put the general public in harm's way, but I mean,
But I'm
this guy's
saying
dead set on it anyway.
The chances of him actually going to
Getting inside
harm
the
anybody
building.
inside is going
Yeah.
to be very slim,
Right.
unless he's, whatever.
So
could
nice
do-
strong door. Most of our
Nice, strong
buildings
door.
have like security doors, steel doors anyway. Make sure the locks work. Make sure you lock the doors when you go upstairs to lodge.
Well, that's what the other part I was going to bring up.
Sometimes
Lock the outer doors, make sure
Yeah.
the outside of the doors are locked, but also lock the lodge room doors. Lock the doors that you're all congregated in.
That's a tough one.
As
though.
a secondary defense, in a sense.
Let me bring up a.
We shut the doors. Why don't we lock them?
Well, here's a corollary. So you've got a Tyler that's outside
Correct.
without the door,
Right.
and he's locking the door and unlocking it every time. Between if there's for opening and closing when the junior deacon comes out.
No, I'm saying once your initial rituals. Once your initial rituals are over,
Oh, okay.
I see what
So
you're
if
saying.
you're doing a degree or something, it's like now you lock it
So-
because they're going to be in there for a while.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what you're talking about is tiling from within, which is where the tiler comes into the lodge room and then lock the door behind him, is what you're getting at.
No, I was talking about if they were without the door. Like they're just going to unlock the door every time they need to open it. Here's the other downside to that.
Well, the
If it's-
tiler wouldn't lock the door because the tiler's outside the door.
Okay.
So the brothers inside, the junior
lock the
deacon
door.
would lock the doors
Okay,
on the
I can
inside.
dig that.
And again, the tiler can talk to the junior deacon through the little peephole in the
Right.
door.
And of course, you
Or
have to.
we have our knock.
Right, exactly. So if you do opt for that, I will say check your local fire code or whatever the equivalent of that is in your particular region, because you want to make sure you're not locking the door if there is a fire or something happens inside that room and you need to get out of it very quickly. You don't want to make it more difficult for the people that you're trying to protect inside the room either.
Right.
But yeah,
That's true.
You could probably come up with some kind of mechanism that would at least deter or slow somebody down who's trying to get in the lodge room.
Correct.
I like that idea.
So now let's talk about the number one deterrent. At this point, it's going to be your tiler outside the door. Not farting around on TikTok, not freaking scrolling through his Facebook feeds.
I feel attacked.
or sending out emails or whatever. It's going to be an attentive tiler.
Right.
Somebody who's attentive to noises, sounds, paying attention, being aware of his surroundings. I mean, this is important self-awareness.
Knocks on doors.
Knocks on
things
doors,
like that,
banging on doors. I
Yep.
mean, you can't even you can't mistake the sound of a gunshot. So I mean, if the guy's shooting through doors,
Yeah.
you know he's coming.
But be aware of your surroundings. Don't get sucked into your phone if you're a tiler.
Correct. Be
It's
aware.
not the
Be
job.
aware.
Yeah.
You're outside the door. You don't have to just sit in the chair. Walk around your space. Take
Yeah.
a peek down the stairs. to
That's
make
what
sure.
I do. Personally, I have my sword just because, I don't know, it's something to hold on to. In case somebody comes up the door, it looks pretty serious if there's a guy walking back and forth with a sword, but I'll pace back and forth.
So let's talk about tilers and different ways to not use a sword that's a ceremonial sword, but you should also, in my opinion, have some sort of an effective way to stop or slow a threat. Let's talk about the different ones.
Okay.
Pepper spray.
Yeah.
We're going to go non-lethal to lethal. Pepper spray.
Yeah. In most jurisdictions, it's, I would guess, is probably pretty legal to have some pepper spray.
Stand off to the side, wait for that sumbitch to come up the stairs, and blast him with the hot sauce right in the eyes.
Yes, but all the while... Yeah, but even with pepper spray, brothers, just, always know your target. What's beyond it. Because if it's me coming up the stairs late for lodge, I don't want a face full of OC. I don't know if you're into that. You're probably immune to it at this point.
At this point, pretty much.
Military service and so forth, but not me.
I put it on my tacos.
Yeah, I would cry a little. So, yes, always know your target and what's beyond it. But, yeah, I mean, that's a nice non-lethal way of at least slowing a threat down.
So, and the reason why I'm saying but the reason why I'm going non-lethal to lethal, or because we all know what lethal is. Lethal is pretty much,
yeah, I mean,
firearm.
You're going to be backed up against a wall for something like that.
I mean, and some lodges don't allow lethal.
Right.
In the lodge room.
Yep.
But there's nothing stopping a Tyler from staying outside the lodge room with it. Some may not allow it in their buildings.
That. Yeah, the ante-room.
And we're going to get to what's the next possible thing we can do here.
Yep.
But, I mean, lethal we don't really talk about. Like, guys coming up the stairs, he's got a double-barrel shotgun.
Yeah,
just
you got other options.
Don't
like flee.
suck with your handgun. But if you flee, now you're leaving your lodge, all your brothers unprotected.
Right, or...
I'm saying if you have no options.
Right, yeah.
Don't suck with a firearm, and dead men tell no tales.
If you're legal to carry a firearm, and you can, and the master and the jurisdiction and the building are okay with you carrying a firearm, make sure, for God's sake, make sure that you're skilled at it. Make sure that you've trained.
James Ferguson, what about not having anything defensive or offensive in the lodge? That's part of the EA degree.
Yeah. And then also is inside the lodge.
That's inside the lodge, correct.
Tyler was carrying a sword around way back when we started our ritual. Right. So the Tyler is still armed even when the EA candidate is going through that initiatic experience and you're told to not bring anything offensive.
And Brother James, we were also just talking earlier, we had said that, some grand jurisdictions or lodges, it's up to the master in some lodges. That's what the rule is here in Connecticut. If the master says no weapons in the lodge, it's no weapons.
Yep. It's prerogative.
We also have, I'm not saying going against the master, but we also have in Connecticut, we're green state, is that what it's called? Where you can conceal carry or open carry. So realistically speaking, if you're concealed carrying, nobody really knows you have a weapon to begin with unless they're like, get naked, which...
Right. Right, but you should.
If a Mason in our lodge says get naked, I'm gonna tell him get effed.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no rule one way or the other, you could conceal carry and nobody would know. That's true, but I'm not saying you should ever hide it from the master. Like if you're a Tyler, discuss it with the master and see what his will and pleasure is on the topic. But I mean, or at least have a big heavy flashlight, a big heavy mag light. Just kicking around, especially in case the power goes out in the lodge. It's good to have one of those. But also, you can do a little bit of damage with that if you need to. And it's legal to have.
Pool balls. They're not really offensive or defensive. You just maybe got a pool table.
Brass knuckles. I'm just trying to think of something that's like, like you would have it in the lodge anyway, but you can use it if you're really backed into a corner, like piece of rebar.
Right. So the first thing I would say would be OC. That'd be your basic bottom line thing. You could step it up. Some here in Connecticut, we're not allowed to have tasers. They are actually illegal to have a taser in the state of Connecticut because if you pop somebody with 50,000 volts and it stops their heart, you're going to jail for murder.
You could kill somebody, yeah.
So in the state of Connecticut, you can't buy a taser. You can't go to the store and be like, hey, give me that taser.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
But the next thing that you can get here, and I believe this is gross, they actually have called pepper ball guns.
Pepper ball guns. I am not familiar with this.
So it's a CO2. Look at it. You got the computer right there. Look it up. You'll see this thing's pretty cool. Right. It's a gun that's CO2 powered, and you basically put a CO2 in the handle of it, and you screw it until it's tight and it pushes and it pops the CO2, and it's got little balls. You could throw it up on the throat. Yeah, throw that bad boy up on the.
Link. keep talking. We're good.
So, yeah, so it's a pepper ball gun, and there are different shots for this pepper ball. So, one, it's either a soft plastic ball of pepper,
like a paintball for paintball,
like a
guns,
paintball,
but full of nasties.
It's
Okay.
full of pepper.
Dig it.
The other thing you can get is actually what's called the hard shot, which is a solid piece of plastic ball. And I'm sorry if I've been paintballing before, right? I've been airsofting before. Paintballs hurt like a bitch.
They generally
And they are
do,
full of
yeah.
paint, and there's nothing inside of them. So they're
Depends
thin,
how close you are and how cold it is outside.
thin
I guess.
plastic,
Yeah.
full of paint. Okay.
Yeah.
To get popped in the face or in the back of the chest or the back or wherever with a solid piece of plastic is going to hurt
It's
like a
not pleasant,
bitch.
yeah.
So even if the guy still has the firearm, the actual lethal, and you pop 6 or 7 of these into his face, the last thing he's thinking about is, let me try to shoot this dude. He's going to be thinking, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge because my face hurts.
Or his aim is going to be terrible, and he's just
Because these things come out they come out hard and fast. Like they're painful.
I mean, it looks like a pretty solid feat of engineering here. We have a square up on the screen for those that are watching the podcast over YouTube, and it looks like it really resembles a stripped down paintball gun.
Yeah,
It's probably got a little CO2 tank in the grip or something like that, right? Like a little CO2 tank that you would use in like one of those.
Yeah, and James Ferguson's saying that right there. He's saying also there are paintballs with pepper spray in them. Again, I personally would stay away from the pepper spray. If somebody's coming up with lethal, and I don't have lethal, I'm going to go with something that's going to sting like a bitch. So personally, I would go with I would probably go with the hard plastic ones, that are, going to do some damage. Again, if you pop them in the face or pop them in the eye with a hard piece of plastic, you're probably going to do damage to his eye instantly. And for anybody who's ever been punched in the face, the last thing, if you ever got punched in the nose, the last thing you're thinking about is continuing your assault, if you will. Yeah. Because have you ever been punched in the nose, Ken? No, you have a perfect nose.
No, I have been punched in the nose.
Really? Have you ever broken your nose?
I've never had my nose broken.
Did you ever have raccoon eyes?
Yeah.
You had raccoon eyes?
I've gotten in fights before.
And your nose
Not for a long time, but yes.
But you have such a perfect nose.
That's because I didn't have somebody like standing on top of me and pummeling the crap out of me. Usually I ended fights when someone else started one, so they didn't get too many hits.
Look at the hook on this one. Look at all the scar tissue up here on the bridge of my nose.
You're basically like at shoulder height to me, so it's like the only thing I could hit. No, man, I've been hit in the face, and yes, I did not want to continue doing whatever.
Yeah, no, it stops you on a dime. So, I mean, getting hit in the face with a hard piece of plastic, report that. Get that out of here. Just when we were saying good things about them.
I don't even know what that is.
Just go to the right there, and just go to report. Yep, and then just go to it's unwanted spam. It's spam up there. Yep.
Yeah.
Goodbye. See you later, those Fedodia. Let's see here. But he says, law enforcement, James Ferguson, he says, brother James Ferguson says, law enforcement and bounty hunters use them. Yeah, they absolutely do. And you can get these as a civilian. You can buy them. You can get them right on frickin' Amazon. Again.
That would actually work pretty well, I think, for a Tyler.
Hell yeah, it would.
And you're hopefully ostensibly far enough away that, the back splatter from that stuff isn't getting on you and doing damage to you at the same time that you're...
Joseph Schultz says, getting smacked in the face by little balls isn't new to some of us, right, George? Yeah, Joe will be back next week.
Oh, man. These things are going to go off the rails.
And thank you for the assist.
Yep. Well done, Joe.
No, but that to me would be the most powerful non-deterrent. I mean, granted, you
I
could
didn't
also
even know that these things existed. But
I mean, you could always go classic with a baseball bat and everything. But again, now you're talking about you have to get within arm's distance and actually get hands-on with the person.
Yeah.
Whereas this little pepperball gun or this little hard plastic gun, you could be from here to the other side of the room away, and it's CO2 powered, so it's not.
That's a pretty good idea.
That's if you want to go
non-lethal.
non-lethal
Legal in your area and you're qualified to own one of those things. And
there's no qualification.
Well, depending on where you are in the world, too. I'm sure.
Oh,
like,
okay.
You know,
Fair
because we have
point.
worldwide listeners. But,
right.
yeah, I mean, if you could keep it in a holster on yourself, you could
put it on the fucking table next to you and stick it in the drawer when you're done.
Yeah, well, be careful about that, too, because, you know, you could have little kids at some point floating around the lodge room.
Put it in a drawer that you can lock.
Make sure you are following your local regulations on the safe storage of anything, any weapon or any kind of self-protective thing that you want to deploy.
PSK Auto, salt gun for flies right to the eyes. Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, that would work, too.
You could also, you know, let's go with lethal, okay? Obviously, a firearm's going to be the end all. I mean, that'll stop a threat.
Yep.
Be proficient with it, and don't be a fucking idiot. And I say that with the utmost respect because there are a lot of idiots out there who own guns that probably shouldn't because they don't abide by the safety rules.
Yeah, or they do. They just don't train with that firearm. They're not proficient with it. So if God forbid they're in a situation where they have to defend themselves or others,
there's actually
they lock up and can't use the thing effectively. What's the point of having it?
It's actually a pretty funny video of a firearms instructor, which scares the shit out of me.
I saw that one with
the 44 Magnum.
Yeah,
and he had his freaking booger hook on the bang button as he's trying to instruct, and boom! It went off in his face.
He was cocking the hammer back, and I think it slipped out of his thumb or out of his.
No, he had his finger on the trigger. If you look,
okay.
And
he was also
when he cocked it back and he was thumbing the hammer, squeezing the trigger,
flopped forward,
it flopped forward, boom! And then the guy goes, "Did you mean to do that?" Yeah.
He's just like bouncing around, and like the guy in the class is like laughing. I'm like, wow, man, this.
So my point is, be proficient and be safe with a firearm.
Yep.
Don't do dumb shit.
Yep, which is kind of common sense and kind of falls outside of the scope of the podcast. But yes, if you're going to do that, then you do have to be as safe as you would be anywhere else with a firearm. And always abide by.
Leaking.
No, I think you might have spilled a little bit. You were mixing it. I think you were swishing it, and a little bit came out. I saw it a second ago.
All right, whatever.
So yeah, always follow your local rules and regulations, about owning a firearm or any other kind of weapon inside the lodge, and follow the direction of the worshipful master and your local Masonic jurisdiction on whether or not you can own these things. But do the best you can with what you have. We gave you a few options to choose from.
Brother James Ferguson, records do say that CCL, which is concealed carry license holders, are more proficient than most law enforcement.
Law enforcement, I think
yes.
Is what he's saying.
So understand,
it could be,
could be.
Yeah.
Understand. It's all, if you're going to have something like a firearm, you need to train with this.
Mm-hmm.
You need to practice with it. You need to be familiar with it. You need to be comfortable with it. Yep. The worst people are the ones that get these things because I got the money for it. I wanted to protect my house. They slip it into the drawer, or they stick it in the safe, and they never touch it. Mm-hmm. Because when the time comes that you may potentially need this, God forbid, you're not going to know what the hell you're doing.
Right.
And understand, there's a big difference between using a firearm at a static range and actually using it under duress.
Yep. So you're going to end up hurting yourself or somebody else if you don't train on that. And the other thing is about the law enforcement thing. I mean, a lot of law enforcement agencies have a minimum level of proficiency that you have to train, and you have to pass what do they call it?
Yeah, you have a qualification.
And you have to do that maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, whatever
it is,
and that
varies. I got to do mine every 6 months.
Right. So in the United States, CCL concealed carry license holders generally are firearms enthusiasts. They go plinking a lot. They probably get a lot more practice in than some law enforcement agencies.
Ours are just
I know some law enforcement agents that are also big firearms guys, and they do a lot more training than than the agency makes them do.
Right.
But I could see that. I mean, on average, it's a generalization.
Right.
There's going to be a few on both sides of the spectrum.
And again, I mean, in Connecticut, in Connecticut, we don't have a CCL, which is a concealed carry, because in the state of Connecticut, you can open carry or you can conceal carry.
We have a firearms.
We just have a
permit,
state pistol permit. That's it, and that's a permit to carry.
Yep.
But my point is that you get what you put into it. Just like anything else.
Yeah.
The more you train, again, I have to for work every 6 months, but I go frequently. Sometimes I go once a month, maybe once every 2 months, or, I do it on my own. On top of that, I also have a Mantis X system, which is just a laser that goes to the front rail, and I practice right in the safety dry firing of my own home. Yeah. So I'm constantly practicing and improving and learning things.
Now, if you were only doing that every 6 months in order to qualify, first of all, what are the odds that you're going to qualify well? And second of all,
what
are the odds that you're going to be in a less prepared state if you ever had to use that to defend yourself in a real situation? So it's like anything else. Practice. Right. Practice makes perfect.
And you could always tell who practices, but that's neither here nor there. And the last thing you could always do is just get a pair of nunchucks. Or you can hire the Ninja Turtles.
Nunchucks. Yeah. I don't think they're for hire. They're not like the A-Team.
I think you could.
I think they just kind of like show up when you need them.
Get some Chinese stars.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Or if you pack your own rounds, you could just fill a shotgun shell full of thumbtacks and paneling nails. Could you imagine going to the hospital with thumbtacks and paneling nails hanging out of your ass? That would be hilarious.
I don't know if I'm going to advocate that one. No, not going to endorse that.
Just screw it up.
Yeah, I know.
Katie Riff, popping into help engagement. Better to practice and never need it than to never practice and fuck it up. That's true. That's a fair point.
So she jumped on the feed just to increase our engagement score. That's a true fan right there. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you. Are Ninja Turtles considered men? Can they join the lodge?
Oh, my God. Now we're really off the rails. I mean,
I would go with a yes. I mean, men would be the only ones who'd come up with words like cowabunga.
Men of lawful age and well recommended. I mean, theoretically, they were like teenagers.
They liked pizza.
So were they over the age of 18? I don't know if we could make a Ninja Turtle a Mason in this jurisdiction or not. I'm pretty sure we couldn't.
Daniel Valdez, slingshot and a bag of marbles. Yeah, that'll work too. But just
whatever's at
don't
hand.
Suck with a slingshot.
Yeah, don't suck with a slingshot either. Don't accidentally hit
all I
could
just in the eye. All I could picture in my head is from Home Alone, where he's got the shot, where he's got the little BB gunner.
Oh, and it hits him.
Hello.
Oh God, that's just brutal. Peter Daigle, they're teenagers, so no. See, he's siding with me.
All right, yeah, they're
Teenage
teenagers.
Ninja Turtle thing.
We're
way
I'm
off
hoping
the
this will
rails.
help our Discord prices go down in the arms of the
We're gonna have to drop our price because like the demand is just gonna be like non-existent. It's
anyway,
we're having our own supply chain crisis here.
What do you say, Ken?
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job on this one. I don't think we harped on the lethal remedies to the situation.
There's so many other ways. Understand, the lethal shouldn't be no all end all say all. You should have other things in place to prevent before you even get to that point of having to go lethal or hands-on.
Yeah.
You should be doing things in your lodge. Your lodge should be doing things. And, yes, I know. All the past masters are going to, we don't get the money for that. But realistically.
You know what? Good locks, good doors, good lights.
If you got enough money for the string beans and the ZD, you got enough money to spend the money to do at least the basics to protect your stuff.
Yep.
So
That's true.
What do you say, Ken?
I think we're good.
Thank you all for tuning in. Until next time. I'm Right Worshipful Brother George Mudry signing off.
I'm Worshipful Brother Ken signing off.
Have a good night, everyone.
Be well, my
Wait, hold on. Stand by.
What?
James Ferguson, Nebraska's 18, and I am most U.S. states. You need to be 18 to carry swords and nunchucks.
Okay. So in Nebraska, you can be 18 to be a Mason. So theoretically, 18 to be a Tyler, and you can also carry swords and nunchucks. So there we go. I mean, that's what you're going to do in Nebraska if you're a new Tyler.
Perfect.
Yep.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Good night, friends. Thanks so much.